Hi there. In my penultimate video, I said that Michael Burry sold all Chinese stocks, including Alibaba. And now he only has one position, Estée Lauder. By the way, if you want an analysis on this stock, just let me know, or if you want a full report, join my membership. Now, what's important is Alibaba, to keep you updated, because maybe you are a shareholder or you plan to invest in this company. And as you can see, super investors like Michael Burry, they sold this stock. And then, what I forgot to mention in my penultimate video about Alibaba is that he not only sold all Chinese stocks, and of course other US companies, but if you look at these filings more recently, he has some put options on all Chinese stocks, Alibaba, PDD Holding, JD.com, and Baidu. And if you look at those put position, the market value, for instance, for Alibaba represents 13% of his portfolio. So he expects the stock price of Alibaba and the other Chinese stocks to go down. Now you might wonder, if you are not familiar with options, what does it mean put position? Does it mean shorting the stock? Not really, but the same thing. Here is the difference between a put position and shorting a stock. A put position, you buy a put option. You own that option, which gives the holder the right, but not the obligation. Gives the right, but not the obligation, to sell a specific stock at a predetermined price or strike price within a set time frame. So, if you hold that position, that put position, you profit if the stock price goes down, right? Below the strike price. And the risk, here is the most important difference between a put position and shorting the stock. The risk is just limited to the premium paid for that option. If you buy a put position, a put option, you pay a premium, let's say $2. And if the stock price goes higher, you lose only $2. If it goes down, you make a profit. Of course, according to the decline and minus the premium you paid, you make a profit. And shorting a stock, here your risk is higher, because you borrow shares of Alibaba and sell them in the market with the expectation that the stock price will decline, which allows you to buy the shares back at a lower price and return them to the lender. And you make the profit. You pocket the difference. The problem here is if the stock price of Alibaba goes higher, let's say it doubles, it will force you to buy back at that price, or the price you decide, at a much higher price. Of course, it gives you flexibility, but your loss potential is higher. You no longer lose the premium paid $2. You can lose much more, $100, $200. It depends on the increase in the stock price. Now, if it goes down, let's say from $125 current price, from $123 to, let's say, $100, then you just make the difference. 123 minus 100, and you have a profit of $23. And that's your profit. Now, if you look at Alibaba, if you short this company, you can make more than 100%. Even if it's unlikely that Alibaba will go below $50. So you might make a profit 50%, something like that. But in that scenario, it's unlikely to happen. Anyway, some people can profit in the short term. So, this is the difference between a put position and shorting. Put position is much safer. You only lose the premium paid. But with shorting a stock, for instance, if Alibaba goes from 100 to 300 in just a short period of time, you lose a lot. quite a lot. So this is the main risk and the main difference between those two. But now, let's think, why did Michael Burry bought this put position? He changed his mind from being long Chinese stocks to being bearish. Now, if you look at Alibaba, over the last 1 year, the stock price has increased quite a lot. Over 60% if you bought here. $73. And now he decided to be bearish, that the stock price will decline. And you have to think, what does he see? Because maybe there is really some risk with Alibaba and we don't know. That's why we have to analyze all views to take into account all the scenarios. Not only be bullish that the stock price will continue to grow, but also to look at the risk, how much you can lose. Now, my assumption is that he went short because of the trade war between the US and China. There is this high deficit, and of course the tariffs. The US announced higher tariffs, and China hit back. So this was a big event, a big problem. When you see something like this, both economies will suffer. And of course, from April 1st, here, the stock price really has declined. 20%. So he could have made a profit if he sold the option. But then, as you can see, the stock price rebounded up 34%. Because what happened? The US announced a pause in tariffs, and China followed. So, in the short term, my view on his positions, in the short term, yes, you can have those declines. But in the long term, I don't think that Alibaba will go down. In the short term, yes. If you want to be a trader, because what I see from Michael Burry, he is more like a trader, not a long-term investor. He buys, sells, sometimes short the stock, and buys some put options. He wants to be faster in making money. That's not wrong. That's a good strategy, if you can follow. But trading, especially when you buy put options, depends on luck. I mean, your likelihood of succeeding by trading stocks in the short term increases your dependency on luck. And if you want to have that, to rely more on luck than on long-term fundamentals, long-term outlook, then you can follow this strategy. Trade in the short term. Sell when it's high, buy put options, and then you make another profit. And again, you might buy again when the stock price goes down. You can follow that strategy. But again, it's quite hard to predict those ups and downs. You can see here, from $70 up over 50, close to 60%, right? And then down. Now, if you can predict this upside and downside, then do this strategy. Trade the stock. But then you can see again, another up. Another spike in the stock price, 83%. And then down. So here is more like timing the market. Can you do that? Yes, you can do it. You might succeed with one stock, two stocks, for a short period of time. But in the long term, believe me, your success will depend a lot on luck. No longer on business fundamentals. For instance, you buy here and you just wait. And see what happens. Up 60%. And you no longer spend your time thinking about what the market will do, what's next. No, you look at the business, understand it, see its fundamentals, its advantages and disadvantages. And then if you are pleased with that business, you get in and let it work for you. The idea of investing is to let others work for you, not to do this hard work, predicting or timing the market. This is quite hard. If you want to work that much, and again, this doesn't only depend on your work, on your analysis. It depends a lot on your luck. So it's up to you if you want to follow this strategy. What I wanted to tell you is about those put options. And be aware that some people may see some risk in Alibaba stock. So don't go all in. Size your investment. In my penultimate video, I said that he sold all Chinese stocks, but I didn't mention those put positions, those put options. So now you know about them, and you might change your mind or stay, hold this stock, and wait to grow more in the future. It's up to you. Do your own analysis. And of course, if you want to know what's my take, my current position Alibaba, how do I plan to take advantage of it, then you can join my membership. Go to my profile, press join, and then scroll down to choose the level you want. In this case, Titan Investor, and you have access to my portfolio plus an ongoing investing course. And of course, if you want more, I also have an exclusive 1-hour coaching call with me, where you can ask me anything you want about investing. And don't be shy or ashamed that you don't know anything about this subject. I will help you step by step, so there is no rush. And of course, by joining this level, you also have access to the previous levels. A simple conversation where I share my screen, you share your screen, and you talk about investing. And you'll get a lot of value. So if you are planning to increase your returns, join my membership. And if you have other questions, please let me know in the comments.